Because number one, you could have so many hybridizations going on at the same time that they wouldn't have to take a long time. Number one, that's why we wouldn't have the evidence. Number two, there would be so many of them, the change would be so rapid, all right, from one to the next level, so to speak, that you wouldn't also have the fossil evidence because the change didn't last long enough, okay? So that it would look like you first had Drosophila and then all of a sudden you got butterflies, when in fact there was some other kind of butterfly to start with that did the hybridization mating, and then it died off quickly. So all you saw was like the first tier and the fifth tier. And the middle tiers you don't see because they changed too quickly, or they changed too many times. Alright? So we wouldn't really have a missing link because of the hybridization. That's not the same as adaptation. Alright? Adaptation keeps the Drosophila in some form. That's why I don't like evolution as it's currently constructed. Okay. So if I posit that, then I don't have a problem with number 3, and I don't have a problem with number 4, or 5, or even 6, except for the same old problems I had before. I just don't have the transitional fossil evidence problem. I got rid of that. Alright? I still can't account for personhood. I still can't account for immaterial thought. Alright? I still got that problem. The only way around that problem is to say the life force is personal. Now another flavor of evolution which might somewhat solve the problem of personal, and Julian Jaynes of Harvard was trying to do this. He wrote a book called it's got a really long title. Basically the breakdown, the development of self-consciousness and the breakdown of the bicameral mind. Okay, that's what he was trying to figure out how it came about, and he had the wrong idea, but he had the right quest. All right, because he was trying to figure out where abstract thought comes from. One of the things I could come up with to answer that question in this scenario is to go back again to step 1 and then talk about our Mandelbrot. All right, with Mandelbrot you got a limit of 2. Theoretically, anything beyond that limit of 2, the coordinates that don't fit within the 2, escape to infinity. Okay, but what if it's not infinity? What if you got a set that has a limiter of 2 inside a set that's got a limiter of 5, and inside a set that's got a limiter of 7? 2, 5, and 7, you'll remember, are the factors of 490. Because I think the 490 is talking about mutation. The number of mutations that the biology can go through before it dies. Okay? That there's somehow the number of mutations are such that life can't extend beyond the 490-year period, or something like that idea. Maybe it's not 490 years, without dying. So there has to be some kind of renewal that takes place. The idea, though, still is, even if I'm all wet on the 490, you got a set encompassed by another set, like Mandelbrot, only bigger, encompassed by another set, and the 3 of them mate. All right. Now, how would that account for abstract thought? Obviously, that would have the same evolutionary hybridization characteristics, but there would be the underlying laws of them. The set containing, the biggest set containing a littler set containing a littler set, like Russian nested dolls. Okay. The way it could maybe come up with abstract thought would be that if there was a larger potential inside the laws that are nonetheless impersonal, they would seem to be personal. In other words, I'm not really a person, I'm really just a machine. A soulless machine. That's what, you know, the typical atheist argument is. That I'm really just an animal like my gnat here. Alright? I seem to be alive, but I'm really just acting on all these biological impulses. Okay, well, pretend they're not biological impulses. Pretend that there's something beyond biology, which is immaterial, which I'm calling life force. But at the same time, what's passing for personhood, my talking to you, for example, is really not personhood. It's really just, I don't know how to account for it exactly, but it's really just a super animal thing. You know, a highly developed animal thing. I still am not quite accounting for self-consciousness, because in the human self-consciousness is very different from the self-consciousness of my gnats. My 2 gnats now. 2. Hi. 2? Yeah, just 2. Always 2. They're conscious of themselves, but if you showed them a picture of themselves, they wouldn't be able to pick themselves out. Alright? They are not capable of doing abstract math. Alright? Abstract math is not something that has really any visible mechanism to it. We can see the effects, but we first have to know the underlying math. So math is essentially immaterial, so I have to come up with some kind of immaterial ability to account for thought, because, you know, we can't read even the synapse, the meaning of a dog's dream. Alright? We just know that he had one. Well, how do we know? Well, because we have the same immaterial component, or a larger version of the same immaterial component. So that's where I kind of still get stuck, is that I've got more of an answer to 2, I've got more of an answer to 3, I've got more of an answer to 4 and 5, but I'm still stuck with this essence of personhood, and I'm still stuck with first cause. Because I can just as easily take everything I've just told you and say God did it, and then I've accounted for personhood as an immaterial, real, live consciousness. So that's where it sits. Shoot it full of holes.